Hello everyone, welcome to Big Data Thoughts. Today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic. Many people have asked me a number of times that what it really takes to be an architect, to be a big data architect or even to be an architect. What skills are required, what should be the focus and mindset. So today we are going to talk all about what an architect does, what is the role and what specifically a big data architect does and what you should do to become a big data architect. So let's get started. First of all, let us look at four very important focus areas and then we would talk about each of those in detail. What are the four major things that an architect needs to keep in mind? Any architect, whether it is big data or not, those are first the business outcome. What is that the architect is trying to achieve, or what is business trying to achieve with a particular use case? That needs to be known to the architect very well. Second, technical knowledge. Now this goes without saying that technical knowledge is the base for anybody to become architect. So you need to graduate, like we do schooling, then we go to college. Similarly, you need to do development and then graduate to an architect or become an architect. So it's all about the experience you gather when you are developing or you are a developer. The third is collaboration. We are going to talk about it, that what kind of collaboration is needed. And last but not the least is analyze various solutions. Now these are very high level four categories, but when I talk about each of them, I would walk you through what exactly is needed in each of these areas, because it's a mindset shift from being a developer to graduating to become an architect. So first of all, business outcome. Now why this is important? So any use case that an architect has to take up and do a design and architecture, it is very important to understand what is the outcome or the business value that we are going to create, because there is no need to build a architecture or do some investments in terms of effort, time, etc. if it does not deliver any value. So the most important thing to understand is that whatever I am doing, what is the impact, the business value that this particular architecture or this particular solution is going to create. Now understanding that is not easy. It looks easy, but it is difficult, because the architect has to understand the domain also. If whether it is banking, it is life sciences, it is media, or whatever is the domain, the architect needs to understand a bit of that domain to even relate to what the business is asking. Architect is a bridge between the developers and the actual stakeholders or the business. The developers would be able to build an efficient system when the architect is able to envision what the business needs, translate their requirements into an architecture and design, and give it to the developers for them to work on it. So he's like a bridge between the business and the developers, and that's a very important key piece. So it's important for anybody who wants to be an architect to understand or articulate or comprehend rather all the requirements that the business is giving and translate them into an architecture and design. Another thing which many people get confused is architecture and design are not the same. They are different. Design starts from where the architecture ends. So if we say architecture, it is like envisioning the whole system in terms of how it is going to work, or keeping in mind the future, the vision, the requirements it is built. Design is where you actually go and stitch up all the components or all the pieces that you have put together in the architecture, or so it's one level down, or it starts when you have built a blueprint on an architecture and then you start designing. So that's what an architect does: understands the benefits, understands the requirements, translates them into architecture and subsequently into design, and also has a flavor of the domain to understand or realize the business requirements better. So that's the first job of an architect. The second job of an architect, where we talk about technical expertise, it's very important for an architect to understand the technology that he or she is working on. If I talk about the big data world, a big data architect needs to know distributed systems, needs to know cloud architecture. We will talk about these in a bit more, but essentially the whole technology landscape that is out there for big data that architect needs to understand. If we want to put that up into a pyramid, this is how it will look. We will have three sections. The top portion is the things that the architect knows already. Second is the things that the architect does not know, but the architect is aware of what he or she doesn't know. And the third piece of the pyramid, which is the biggest, is things that we do not know that we do not know. So I'll explain what it means. Things we know are easy to continue doing because these are technologies or these are things which are known to us. For example, if we have knowledge of what a distributed system is, what is cloud, knowledge of Hadoop, MapReduce, Spark, these are the things that we know that an architect in big data world has to know. This is the basic. Then comes the things which the architect may not know because this space is constantly evolving. There are new technologies coming up, new concepts, new patterns coming up. So the architect doesn't know everything, that's fine because these are still growing, coming up. But at least the architect is aware that these are the new things that are coming up and he or she needs to know. But the third piece is the most dangerous one because this is where there are a lot of unknowns. The architecture that we develop today, however a bigger vision we have for future, it may really not remain as it is after a couple of years because it's a dynamic growing space. So there is always scope for improvement. Ideally, what an architect should concentrate on is the first two pieces, the things that are known and the things that we know we do not know, and we have to practice them. Another thing to keep in mind is the architect needs to have a breadth of information. The architect cannot go into depth of each and every technology. That's not possible and that's not expected. The expectation is whoever is the developer, they would have deep knowledge on the technologies like Spark or Hive or anything that they're using and working on. They would have their own specializations and they would really go deep into it. But for an architect, he or she has to know a breadth of technologies. Essentially all of the technologies that are out there, prominent ones in the big data world, whether it is Hive, Impala, Spark, HBase, Cassandra, MongoDB. There are different technologies which are used for different purposes. So the architect has to know how these technologies work together, how can they be stitched, what is the appropriate use case where this technology should be used. For example, using Hive versus let's say a cloud storage or just a file storage like S3 or blob storage in Azure, the architect needs to know that. The architect needs to know how these technologies will play together and what is the right fit. If I want to do batch processing, what technology should I use? If I want to do real time or event driven, what should I use? So the breadth needs to be covered. The architecture or the way these technologies work should be known. That's important rather than going into depth of each and every technology to the nth level. So that's what I mean by technical expertise, and this is the way that an architect should look at learning the technologies. Going horizontally, so just like in the big data world we say scale horizontally rather than scaling vertically, because you will reach a bottleneck where you cannot really go into depth of each and every technology. So horizontal scaling of technology or the breadth is needed. The third thing and a very important thing is collaboration. Most of the times it is thought that the architect's role is only when the project architecture and design is done. Then the architect will hand over that blueprint to the developers and walk away. But that's not the right way to operate. It's a continuous bilateral communication between the developer and the architects. The architect needs to work very closely with the developers all throughout to actually adapt if there are some new changes coming in, and also mentor and coach the developers in terms of how to proceed, or if they are stuck, how to help them out. So architect's role is not just building that blueprint, but being there to mentor and coach the developers, help them if they are stuck at any point of time, either it is performance, or it is managing the code. When I say managing, the right patterns or the right design patterns to be used while writing the code, whether it has to be modular, it has to be cohesive, it has to be broken down, like whatever is the pattern that is to be used has to be told or guided to the developers of as to how they should use it. So it's a bilateral communication that should continuously happen. Also, the architect, like I said, is a bridge between taking requirements and translating them and making them understandable to the developers. So there are multiple stakeholders with whom the architect should actually interact. One is developers, definitely. If it's a product that we are building, then there would be people or SMEs who understand the domain, who are product managers. They can be another stakeholders. If it is a use case, that is, of course, there will be some people from business who are ultimately going to get benefited by what we are building. So that's another touch point. If in the team we do have testers who are testing the whole project, then the architect also has touch points with them to make them understand the holistic picture. One very important thing that an architect has to do is envision the future, design the architecture, and let the team also understand the holistic picture or the big picture of why this use case is important, where it is fitting into the entire piece, bigger picture, and help them to understand the value that they are delivering. That's very, very important. So as I said, it's a two-way communication between developer and the architect, and it's always an ongoing communication, mentoring and coaching. Another thing that architect needs to do is analyze various solutions, because one problem can be solved by multiple ways. There's not one fixed solution. So analysis of what approach would work better, what would not work, that's very important. And whenever we ask somebody that an architect that what is the best possible scenario, the answer most of the time would be it depends. And people get very frustrated hearing that when somebody says it depends, what should be the architecture. But that's actually true, because the architecture that we are building actually depends on many things. There is no fixed standard or one size fit all for any kind of use case. There can be n number of ways of doing it, but the architect has to look at multiple dimensions. What are the business drivers? What is the company culture? What is the budget? What is the time frame? The skill set that is available? What is the environment in which we are going to develop? The use case, of course. And there are other parameters like the SLA, whatever I'm delivering. If it is a report, it is a dashboard, or it is some data that I'm giving to someone, SLA or service level agreement as to what is the timeline in which that outcome is expected is very, very important. Then there can be factors like cost, which of course budget also talks about that. So I would choose one technology over the other based on the cost as well. So all in all, having a knowledge of multiple things, that's why I emphasized on the breadth of knowledge rather than depth of knowledge. We should not try going into depth too much, rather go into breadth, so that there is a awareness about different technologies or different things that are available for an architect to take a decision about what solution to use, what will be more efficient. There are other aspects as well that needs to be looked upon, like the future. In future, is this going to scale or not? Is this manageable or not? Is it reliable? Is it fault tolerant? Because failures are a norm, they're going to happen. How fast can my architecture or my solution recover from those failures? Am I planning or looking forward and thinking about what kind of failures can come in and how to prevent those? What can be done? So all of these things should be kept in mind, and then multiple approaches should be verified and looked upon. So all in all, these are the 4 very, very important things that an architect has to think about. It's a different hat to wear. A developer's mindset is different. It's more focused on how to write the code to achieve something, how to write the code efficiently, bug-free, optimized. But when we talk about an architect, it's a different mindset altogether. And there is nowhere on Google where an architect can find a perfect solution or architecture for any use case the architect is building. It's more of experience, it's more of seeing various scenarios, thinking logically, thinking ahead of time, looking at the future, and envisioning different scenarios that are there. So it's a very different mindset that is needed. So most of the time I get this question that how do we become architect, and it's very what word to use, it's very surprising to see when people say that okay, we can become an architect just by reading. That's not going to happen. Reading will give you a base, but ultimately the experience of you as a developer and your journey of evolving from a developer to an architect will give you that push, or it will give you that experience and expertise to think about different scenarios. So that's very important. All in all, if I have to summarize what is an architect's job, it is understanding the problem statement, understanding the domain, analyzing the business requirements. An architect has to wear multiple hats when the architecture is being built. Selecting which architecture patterns and style should be used. Should it be a microservices based architecture? Should it be event driven? Should it be pipeline based? What pattern would actually fit the use case, domain and business needs? And then creating the blueprints of the components, stitching them together so that they play well together, and then handing it over. When I say handing it over, basically explaining that to the developers and working hand in hand with them. So that's the role of an architect. Coming on or zooming into the big data architect, why I spoke all about an architect is because any architect would need the skills. If I have to now layer big data flavor on, or sprinkle the big data flavor on top of this, then what is needed is, one, being in constant touch with the market trends, because this is an evolving space, lot of new technologies and keep coming. So it is very important to stay well versed with the market and the next gen technologies and see where it can be used. Always being aware of the architectural patterns to be used or the best practices, because architectural pattern is important in terms of how we envision the use case. Technology landscape, of course, the technology landscape has to be kept in mind, and when we talk about big data, it is absolutely essential to have knowledge about distributed computing, knowledge about cloud computing, knowledge about virtualization, data virtualization or any, but virtualization as a concept needs to be known. The different kinds of scenarios that can exist, batch, real time, event driven, the fundamentals of how they work, fundamentals of each and every technology's architecture. If we look at NoSQL, for example, there are many technologies or many storages out there which are NoSQL based. It can be Mongo, Cassandra, Edge based or anything, but the essential fundamental of a NoSQL remains the same. The architecture differs, but the fundamental is same. So all that needs to be known. Development experience is very very essential. If somebody wants to become a big data architect, it is necessary to have worked on technologies like Spark, Hive, whether you use in Spark, whether you use Scala or you use PySpark, doesn't matter, but the core fundamentals of Spark, fundamentals of Hive, fundamentals of distributed file system and Hadoop needs to be known. Then all the dimensions need to be kept in mind about reliability, availability, performance, manageability. All this will come into play, and these need to be thought through from a distributed standpoint. Then cost needs to be kept in mind, because these days we are talking about big data technologies over cloud. So it's very important to always be conscious of the cost that we are incurring with the solution. Should I use a cheap storage versus a very efficient, expensive storage because the IOPS is very good in that? Or do I choose a storage where the IOPS is okay but the cost is low? So those kind of trade-offs can only be done when we really understand the whole concept and the architect is aware of the services being provided. So in cloud there are three prominent vendors, Amazon, Azure and Google, but depending on what primarily is being used in the company or for the customer, at least one of them should, the architect should be well versed with, because more or less the services are the same with little bit of nuances. So if one of the cloud vendor is known to the architect, it's a very big plus point, and it can be easily mapped to other cloud vendors. So that's another thing. Okay, so these are very very fundamental things that need to be known, but all in all I would focus that it has to be a breadth of information rather than going into depth. There can be certain areas where depth is required, but most of the areas need to be covered in at a scale, at a horizontal scale. So that's all about what an architect does or should do and what a big data architect. So big data architect and a normal architect are no different, just the technology has changed. That's the only difference. So I hope this gives you a brief idea about the role of an architect. Thank you so much, guys.